Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
What a way to end the game week.
Yeah, a lot of goals. Obviously, all the games at the same time, which was brilliant. Didn't really go the way I wanted it to for my FPL team. I think I've got a slight red arrow. I'm sure many of you will be refreshing that live FPL website. Obviously, it crashes because there's millions of you doing the same thing.
Yeah, I stayed away. I had a quick look at Playmaker, and I think I've got a slight green arrow. But other than that, yeah, I've stayed away from live FPL because, like you said, millions of people are trying it at the same time. And I think last season they had a problem as well, and they tweeted about it saying, beware, because obviously the game's updating all at once, and yeah, it's almost impossible for them to keep up. But fair enough. I really enjoyed having all the games at the same time, and I had Jeff on the TV for basically the first time this season, and I forgot about that buzz that you get when they're like, "Go! Oh, let's go to the riverside!" And oh, mate, it was so good. I really enjoyed it. So I think
There's plenty of goals as well.
yeah, there was exactly. It got off to a slow start. I think 18 minutes in, and I was sat there twiddling my thumbs, thinking, "Oh, it's going to be one of those game weeks, isn't it? It's going to be a shitload of clean sheets. It's going to be like 1-0 here, 1-0 there." And then the goals just started to come. And yeah, ended up, really enjoying the final day of the season, even though I wasn't in the stadium or whatnot. It was great fun to watch, and hopefully, it's the start of a far more enjoyable and normal FPL season next year. So
I really hope so.
may it continue. Right. Well, we've obviously got 10 games to cover, and we might as well get stuck in. Not that players' goals and assists really matter for picking your teams next week, because game week 38's been and gone, but we'll do it anyway. First things first, Arsenal 2, Brighton 0.
2 goals again for that man Pepe. He's on a bit of a run of form now.
On fire.
Maybe that looking into the camera when he celebrates helps him. I don't know, but he's been looking good. Dare I say, getting close to showing, at least repaying some of that big price tag he cost Arsenal for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they'll obviously be hoping that he carries this form into next season. We're maybe starting to see, the Pepe that they expected at the beginning of the season, and he's taken a long time to find his feet and bed himself into that squad. But both of his goals today were really good finishes. I've sat there watching the highlights, and yeah, it's just great to see. And he looks a lot happier playing in that squad. And obviously, even with the win today, Arsenal have missed out on the Europa League and the Europa Conference League. At one point, it looked like they might get the Europa Conference League, whatever the fuck that is. But yeah, they've missed out. And in fairness, I think missing out might be a good thing for Arsenal next season, because they won't have to worry about Thursday nights, Sunday afternoon football. They'll have a whole season to focus on the Premier League, try to build a squad that Arteta obviously wants to take forward, and they won't have to worry about resting assets and whatnot, on a Thursday night, or if it's a really crucial game, playing them, and then obviously having a rest in the Premier League. And they've been found out a few times when they've rotated quite heavily.
Agreed, and I think that's good for us FPL managers as well. That makes obviously Arsenal players more attractive, because obviously this season they've been prone to rotation, so you don't know whether Aubameyang or whoever, Pepe, Saka, is going to play on a Thursday night or a Sunday night. So now we'll have a bit more clarity. Those, I imagine, you'll get a regular sort of group of starters with no European competition.
Exactly. And will it mean that we actually get to see Aubameyang play with Lacazette rather than, one or the other?
Potentially. I mean, I'm sure Arteta will have a big think about the system he wants to play. I doubt he'll keep things the same, because presumably he's not happy with a sort of missing out on Europe. So
No.
I'm not sure where they could probably do some strength at the back, obviously, because David Luiz is getting on.
Well, he's leaving, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he's going, and he's old anyway.
Yeah.
But they need They need just more bodies in there, more decent quality, proven Premier League defenders.
Yeah, no, agreed. And obviously on the other side of that, Brighton, kind of a fairly drab end to the season with this one. They had quite a few players missing out through either suspension or injury, so I don't think they expected much from this game. But that again, they've managed to stay up in the Premier League. They've played some good football, and arguably probably should be finishing higher than they have done in the table. Their XG, as we all talk about, is incredible at times, and I think their expected league position is at least 3 or 4 higher than what they are. So yeah, it'll be another big season for them next year, and perhaps they can pick up the points that they really should be, rather than dropping late leads or holding on for 0-0 draws.
I hope they do.
Right, moving on then, and the first shock of the week. And to be fair, it was a shock that I actually thought was going to see Chelsea at one point miss out on the Champions League. So it was Aston Villa 2, Chelsea 1.
Fair play to Aston Villa. I don't think anyone really saw this one coming. El Ghazi, quite a bargain of an asset on pens, obviously.
Yeah, it took his pen really well.
Million. So I think I saw a couple of people in the community on him. I mean, if I had like an 11, I doubt I would have even played him.
No, I don't think I would have. And obviously, Matty Target, probably on a lot of people's benches, including my own, got himself an assist in this one. I think just overall, Aston Villa came out. Obviously, they were playing at home. Chelsea at times probably a little bit nervy. Obviously knowing how close it was in the league, and at one stage needing to get that draw, or needing a win at one point. And for Aston Villa to come out, obviously Jack Grealish again started. Likely, I think that he probably makes it into that Euro squad now that he's seemingly fit and getting minutes under his belt. So Southgate are probably pleased by that. But again, yeah, Aston Villa, a team that, I mean, we'll come on to our predictions later, but we both grossly underestimated Aston Villa this season. So
Yes,
that'll be
did.
amusing to talk about. But yeah, on the other hand, obviously, you've got Chelsea there. Chilwell got his goal, but once again, Timo Werner scored when he was offside.
Yeah, well, I mean, we spoke about it at length last episode, and it's a recurring theme for him. Hopefully, maybe Tuchel will have a word with him over the summer, or he'll have a word with himself and try and stay on side a bit more. But it's maybe it's a habit for him.
Yeah, it's something that they're definitely to look at. And obviously, Chelsea, their season isn't quite finished because next Saturday they've got the Champions League final. So massive game between them and City. I can only see one winner in that, and for me, that's City. I know, we've seen them play each other a couple of times, in both the cup and the league, and Chelsea have come away winners. But no, I think City will run riot.
I'd love to see City win it. To be honest, obviously they've not won it before. I guess now, would you play Aguero based on that performance off the bench? I'll come to that, but
I don't think I would. Don't think I would. I think he will be in the squad, but I think he'll probably be an impact sub, a bit like he was, today. Which again, yeah, we'll come on to. Moving on to the third game then, and record breaker, or not record breaker, record equaler, Joe Willock in a Fulham 0, Newcastle 2.
yeah, very happy with that. I brought him in ahead of last week, and yeah, the man's carried on his great run of form, and I think it'll be bittersweet for Newcastle fans because I feel like that's another nail in their signing him coffin. Either that
Yeah.
or an extra couple of million at the very least.
I think Arsenal will hold on to him now. I mean, he's gone to Newcastle. He's got 7 goals in 7 games, obviously equaling Big Alan Shearer's record at Newcastle there, the only player at Newcastle to do it. And yeah, I think he'll be too expensive for Newcastle now, and Arteta will probably look at him in the summer, and I can very much see maybe them trying to integrate him into that squad. I don't think Willock will be happy sitting on the bench week in, week out though. So
Definitely not. focus
there's
on this.
obviously, yeah, exactly. There's obviously a conversation to be had, because if he goes to Arsenal and says, look, I want this and I want to be guaranteed this amount of minutes, and our centre can't give him that, then he's got a decision to make himself, because his career will be at a standstill. And in the form that he's been in, it clearly shows that if you give the lad minutes, he's going to get you returns.
Yeah, agreed. And even if Newcastle say Mike Ashley doesn't want to put up the cash, I think other clubs would be happy to.
Yeah, 100%. And then obviously on the other side, you've got Fulham. Um, yeah, again, rotated a few players. Areola missed out this time, which fucked me up, because I ended up with no goalkeeper, something that you've been used to. And yeah, obviously not scoring again. Didn't particularly look like scoring at all, to be fair, in this one. Dubravka didn't make a single save, says it all. And they've kind of gone down without really fighting, fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at one point a few months ago, it looked quite promising. We were quite confident of them staying up, but they've just sort of gradually fizzled out as the season's drawn in.
Yeah, it's been a shame, and I think there's going to be a big season ahead in the Championship for Fulham. They've got a lot of loan players. They've got quite a few that I think other clubs will be sniffing around. So if Scott Parker does stay there, I think there's going to be a big job on his hands to get them straight back up.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I can't see them coming straight back up, really.
No, neither can I. Not with how competitive the Championship's been. All right, moving on then, and the final game for both Pablo Hernandez and Berardi for Leeds. Obviously, it's been confirmed that they're leaving in the summer, and Bielsa, the lovable man that he is, gave them both a start, and it was unfortunate not to see Hernandez get on the score sheet, but he at least got himself an assist in a 3-1 win against West Brom.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him crying in the stands.
Hmm.
It's sad to see him go. He's loved by the fans
He
at Ellen
is,
Road.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a strong performance from Leeds. I watched the game, and obviously Bamford didn't start, which is a bit of a shock to some. Obviously, Rodrigo's been playing well, and be at the end of the pretty much the end of the season. I don't blame Bielsa for playing Rodrigo, but yeah, no, they play very strong, and it's a shame for Harrison owners that his goal was ruled out.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I seen that. It was offside, wasn't it?
it was, but yeah, it just shows he's getting in the right places,
Yeah, bagged
putting things
himself another
up.
return with an assist, didn't he? So
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the Leeds players are priced next season. I feel they may be quite expensive, or at least more expensive than we think they're going to be.
yeah, 100%. Because a lot of us are on the triple up. We can afford it. I'm on Bamford, Rafinha, and Dallas, and have been for a number of weeks now. I don't think we'll be able to afford that triple up next season. Obviously, you look at Rafinha, consistent with returns. Bamford, despite the fact that many people say he misses a lot of chances, still has, what, 16, 17 goals this season. So just
Yeah,
looking now, yeah,
he could
he's
easily
on
go up to like
17 goals. Yeah,
well, yeah, exactly. It's an insane amount of goals.
exactly. And 11 assists.
Yeah, it's a sensational season. I think I'd see a big rise for him. Dallas might even get reclassified back into a midfielder.
I know. I think he probably will if he continues to play where he is, because there's no way that FPL will allow us to have Dallas as a defender with the opportunity of, scoring in the manner in which he does. And he's essentially an attacking midfielder half the time.
Yeah, to be honest, even as a midfielder, depending on this price, he wouldn't be that bad. I mean,
No.
he's definitely scored quite a few this season from memory.
Yeah. And I mean, if Dallas is reclassified, I can't see him being more than, say, a 5.5, 6 million midfielder, because he's not up there with the attacking returns as the likes of Harrison and Rafinha. So if he is reclassified, he'll be cheaper than them, I'd expect. But yeah, I guess it's all a guessing game at the moment, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And then on the other side, obviously West Brom have gone down, but Robson Kanu got his goal, which um, frustratingly cost Dallas the clean sheet. And I believe it actually cost the lad that was top of the FPL league the win with that 90th minute clean sheet wipeout.
If that's true, I'm gutted for him because he was top for so long, and I was watching the FPL Juice live stream, and
Mm,
they interviewed him, and he seems a very likable guy, and I was kind of rooting for him really. So, and I looked at like the teams before the kickoff, like who they picked, like the other like second and third and stuff, and I thought he'd have enough.
yeah, it seems crazy that a 90th minute consolation goal is going to cost him the opportunity of
That'd
winning
be
FPL.
nothing. Yeah,
Absolutely devastating.
always the nearly man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen some comments on Twitter about bottling it. I think it's a bit harsh, but we'll move on to a team that did bottle it. And sorry to Leicester fans, but Leicester 2, Spurs 4. They've bottled it again.
Yeah, it sounds like a great game. I didn't see it, but obviously there's 6 goals in it, and I mean I'm not sure how Spurs fans will feel about this. I guess they'll be happy that they've finished above Arsenal, but at the same time, then they've now got to contend with this European conference.
Yeah.
Rugby.
I mean, if they don't win the Europa Conference, then
They just
what
get
is
knocked
that?
out by Ludogorets in Bulgaria or
Yeah,
something.
wouldn't surprise me. And I mean, they very well could, because next season we might see a completely different Spurs side. Obviously, rumors are raging about the fact that Harry Kane is probably going to go in the summer. I sat down uh, Friday, I think it was, and watched Gary Neville's YouTube channel that he's got with Sky now, and that he did an hour-long interview with Harry Kane whilst they were playing golf. And I must say, Harry Kane is exceptional at golf, and Gary Neville isn't too bad either, to be fair. But it was a really, really good interview. Harry Kane opened up quite a bit about what he wants to achieve and his time at like Tottenham and where he sees himself. And you just get the feeling that he's ready to have that conversation with Daniel Levy about moving on.
He has to for his career and to win trophies, to win the Premier League, to win the Champions League. He needs to move to an elite club.
Yeah, Harry Kane should not be playing in the Europa Conference League.
Definitely not.
And yeah, obviously, Leicester, Jamie Vardy got a couple of penalties in this game, to finally end that goal drought that he's been on. Obviously, Ian Archer is massively outshone him over the last 8-10 game weeks. We've all kind of realised that quite early on, and most of us have jumped on Ian Archer. But anybody that has held on to Vardy, through this or brought him in for this one last game, fair play, because getting himself a couple of penalties took them well, but in the end, didn't really mean anything because they've slipped up, even though Chelsea slipped up themselves, and they'll find themselves in the Europa League again.
Yeah, a good season for Jamie Vardy. I mean, people questioning his age at the start of the season, but he's scored 15 goals and got 14 assists,
Yeah.
which is a very good amount of returns from him.
Oh
So
God, yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how they price both him and Iheanacho next season.
Yeah. How long do you think Jamie Vardy can go on for?
I feel like next season he'll still be decent, but it will be his returns will start to go down a bit. They'll start to have to maybe come off a little bit earlier, or maybe not start so many games.
Yeah, because he started the season so well, and we're all like you said, 15 goals, 14 assists. A lot of the goals came earlier in the season. The assists have continued. Like, remember the game where he got 3 assists in one game for Ian Archer. So he's still up there with the elite. But yeah, is this second half of the season what we're expecting to see throughout next season? It's
I'd
tough to
imagine
tell.
so, but I mean, Jamie Vardy's quite got quite a strong mentality. Like, I feel like he could maybe still kind of perform to a high level next season and still surprise us again.
Yeah,
As
and he
long as his
probably
legs
will.
are there, he'll be able to do it.
And he's one of those assets that just constantly frustrates to own, because you never own him at the right time, I found. I owned him a couple of times in Sky, or once in Sky earlier in the season. He didn't do a lot. I took him out, and as soon as I took him out, I think he scored twice in the following game. And again in FPL, it's the same thing. It's one of those that you're always reluctant to spend that little bit of extra money on Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, he's one of the hardest players to stick with.
100%. And I think the other talking point in this game, what I heard on Jeff's show, was the fact that Fofana looks like he's gone off with what seems to be a hamstring strain. Apparently, the young lad was in tears, and I really hope that doesn't mean that he misses out on Euros this season, because he's had an exceptional season for Leicester, and it will be gutting if he misses out on European competition because of a hamstring strain in the final game of the season.
Yeah, that'd be gutting for the lad. I'm not sure what nation does he play for.
A bloody good question. Let's quickly check.
I literally have no idea.
He's French, isn't he? Yeah, Wesley Fofana is French.
Was he first? Would he be first choice? Do you think? Anyway.
Well, I don't know if he's been called up. And he's played for the France under-21 team. He may well have had a call up. France have released their squad. I know this isn't great for the audio, but let's have a quick look to see if he's in the Euro lineup. Feel free to talk about the next game, James, whilst I check this one out.
And next up was obviously a game which most in the community had a lot riding on, was Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 0. And the man Mane finally stepping up to deliver, serving up 2 goals. Obviously, he's got 2 assists in the last 2 games as well. And I was very close to bringing him in. Obviously, we had the news of Bruno, Luke Shaw, and so on not starting for Man United, being out of the squad with a sort of a weakened Man United team. So if I didn't have my main transfer planned of Shaw to Alexander-Arnold, then I was very tempted to do Bruno to Mane. And I still contemplated it for a -4, which in hindsight would have been lovely. I should have done it.
That's the move I made. Just to quickly go back on Fofana, it was obviously Paul Merson that was talking about the game, and he's probably talking out of his arse because Fofana hasn't been called up to the France squad.
So yeah, he's not missing the Euros. He's just missing his. He's not able to go down and swim in a pool in Spain or wherever on his holidays.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the French squad in the years to come, because he's a brilliant defender. But yeah, jumping back onto that Liverpool game then. That Mane move is one that, as you know, I made. I was between going Mane and Kevin De Bruyne for Bruno, and in the end, didn't really matter. But yeah, I went Mane, so got the 2 goals and the 3 bonus points. And we'll come on to the City game, but yeah, at one point I was deeply regretting my decision, but it just shows how quickly things can change, because yeah, I ended up with a decent points haul from Mane, and thankfully Salah got the assist for all of those that captained him, including myself, and I think you did as well. But if you were on Mane, then fair play.
Yeah, and not much from Palace, obviously. Roy Hodgson's last game.
Yeah.
I mean, no one really expected them to get anything out of this. But yeah, their eyes are very much on next season, I'd imagine.
Yeah, 100%. From what I was hearing on the commentary, it sounded like Palace came out quite well, and were putting Liverpool under real pressure to start with. But yeah, in the end, Liverpool's dominance came through, and obviously they got the win that they needed, and cemented Champions League football. Moving on then to that Kevin De Bruyne moment, and it was Man City 5, Everton 0. What a way to finish!
Yeah, very, very strong performance from City. I mean, most of us will have imagined the win, but maybe not seen a 5-0 win coming. Obviously, it was a strong lineup, stronger than we've seen them put out recently.
Very, which was surprising given Champions League next Saturday.
I guess there's a solid sort of 6 days rest, so they want to just play their team that they're probably going to play the same 11
Mm.
in the Champions League. If not, maybe what we discussed earlier, maybe Aguero might force his way in. I'm not sure. I don't think he will. I think Pep will bench him, but
Yeah.
I'd be, if I was the manager, I'm not obviously, I'd be tempted to start him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all depends on Gundogan's injury. He was on the bench today, so I think he should be fine for the Champions League final, because then I expect we'll likely see one of either Sterling or Jesus probably miss out if Gundogan comes in. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see that final lineup against Chelsea. But yeah, like you said, I think this will be very close to it. And a lot of people were still on the likes of Mahrez for this game week. So unfortunate, in a 5 goal route to only get an assist. I think he hit the bar as well from the highlights that I've seen. But yeah, like you said, Aguero got his moment, came on in the second half, and ended the season and his career with Man City and in the Premier League with 2 goals. And the question is, have Man City let him go a season too early?
Potentially. Um, but I guess it's nice that he's going out while he's still performing. So, say he next season, I don't know, started 10 games and didn't score in any of them. That'd be a sad way for him to go.
Yeah, and I am glad that he got these 2 goals in front of his home crowd, and he was applauded off at the final whistle, because the last thing I needed, or the last thing Aguero would have wanted to be remembered for in his final season for City, was completely fucking that Panenka penalty up.
Yeah, thankfully we'll remember him for scoring the 2 goals off the bench and not that terrible penalty.
I know, absolutely. And yeah, Everton, they had the opportunity in the game to score. Siggy missed a pen, meant Edison ended up on a pretty sizable hole for anybody that's got him in an FPL. So fair play on that one. But yeah, Everton kind of really failed to deliver this season. It was expected that with the signings at the start of the season that they might, challenge properly for the Europa League spots, but they've just been far too inconsistent. And I think they really need to sort either their home or away form. It kind of rotates year in, year out, which one's the worst. And they really need to knuckle down this summer, find a way in which they want to play in a way that they don't necessarily get, found out in games like this, because they need to be able to challenge with the likes of City, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, for even, draws in games, grind out draws, because those points will be valuable if they actually want to achieve European football.
Agreed. I think that, yeah, they're not very consistent, as you say, and I don't think they have a clear style. Like when I watch Everton play,
No,
I think it's
exactly.
obvious what they're trying to do. You
Mm.
like with Leicester, you can quite clearly see that they're sort of a counter-attacking team. They hit teams on the break with pace.
Yeah.
Everton is they're not really counter-attacking. They're not really defensive. They're just kind of there.
Yeah, agreed that they're kind of very reliant on Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, and the pace of them to potentially, get forward, and obviously DCL's goals, and Richarlison's looked a little bit livelier towards the end of the season. But yeah, I think you sum them up well. That they're just there at the moment, and see with the potential new stadium plans and whatnot, that they really need to improve if they want to start challenging again.
Definitely.
Right, let's move on to a game that, in all honesty, I had no interest in whatsoever. It was Sheffield United 1, Burnley 0.
You see another shit game that I'm interested in this week, because I have Matej Vidra coming off the bench for Bruno
With
Fernandes.
his massive 1-pointer.
So I watched the second half in eager anticipation of Vidra doing something, and he looked okay.
Yeah,
Is the answer? He wasn't terrible, but
that's what you want.
things wasn't. There's one promising run where he couldn't get it out of his feet, and yeah, Vidra has only made it into my team because of his price and what he allowed me to do elsewhere on my team. But due to the way things have landed with team selection this week, I've been cheering him on. But it is a strong performance from Sheffield United, I have to say.
They've
They
they've
look
been
very
playing well
good.
recently.
Yeah, they've been keeping it up. I mean Jefferson played quite well. He didn't actually obviously score or do anything, but he still looks a decent player. He's obviously got quite a big presence. He's quite tall. McGoldrick scoring another goal this season, and he'll be a great player in the Championship, as we know from previous seasons. But Burnley were really poor attacking wise. Like Dyche threw on Ashley Barnes, he threw on Vidra, he threw on Jay Rodriguez. Like he was throwing on every single attacker that he basically had, and still they were kind of struggling to get shots on goal.
I think they've been on the beach for a while.
Well on the beach. Yeah, poor end to the season for Burnley.
Yeah, and Burnley are one of those clubs that, again, we know how they play. We know how Sean Dyche likes to have his squad set up. We know that Burnley will always cause teams problems, particularly defensively. But they're one of quite a few teams in the Premier League that are, again, just there in terms of, position. And you always know where Burnley could be. And it's whether Sean Dyche feels that he's gone as far as he can with Burnley. I know there's the new ownership coming in and whatnot at Burnley, and whether that could change things, whether finances are made available. But I think Dyche probably has a decision to make himself, because I quite like him as a manager. And it would be interesting to see how he got on at a slightly bigger club with more of a budget, and whether he could actually push a team on.
Yeah, very very much so. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, the sort of signings he'd make. Because he's not really had that budget, we don't really know what sort of type of player he would buy if unrestricted.
No,
Obviously,
exactly.
I could work with the likes of like Phil Bardsley and players like that, sort of free agents, people on loan, people who they've already got. But I feel like you could do a job at like a club of say Everton's stature.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Everton, Palace, maybe. Be
Yeah,
interesting to
Palace would
see
do a
like
job.
Sean Dyche at Palace for a start, because don't want to shame Burnley, but Palace, are a better team. They've got better players, and Palace have got a rebuilding job to do in the summer, which we've spoken about already on previous pods, with the amount of players that they're releasing, and obviously Roy Hodgson retiring. For whoever steps into that Palace role, they've got a huge opportunity to like stamp their authority on that team, and it could be an ideal opportunity for a manager like Sean Dyche.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, to be honest.
Right. Should we skip the next game?
I think we should, mate.
Right. So West Ham Southampton never happened. We'll move on to no. It was West Ham 3, Southampton 0.
Yeah. Poor performance from us. I had this game on the laptop while watching the Leeds game and then the second half of the Burnley game, and it's just a very very poor performance from us.
We just never got going.
No, that's essentially it.
You could tell that we had nothing to fight for, whereas West Ham knew if they got the win, they guaranteed Europa League group stage football, and that's what they've done. That the fact that Fornals came out, for Christ's sake, and got himself 2 goals and an assist. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and we couldn't handle him. And then we allowed Declan Rice to run through in the 87th minute and get the third. It just sums up our season. We were poor.
Very poor. Yeah, Fornals a 19-pointer. If anyone saw that coming, then they should play the lottery, because
I mean,
shout
shout out to Craig Kemp. Obviously, we're in a group chat, aren't we? That he's involved in. And at one stage, I think at half time, he said he had a midfield of De Bruyne, Mane, Fornals. He had Harry Kane and another. And he kept us going for at least 5-10 minutes, and then came around and said, "No, that's the team I would have wanted." Like, yeah, prick. We were all like, "You picked Fornals." Like, what?
Yeah, no one's picking Fornals.
No,
I mean, yeah, disappointing end to our season. Obviously, at one point we were obviously very high up.
Yeah,
Sort
I
of,
mean we were top of the league in November.
yeah, top of the league, and then even so, we were still speaking about Europe, and people were going, "Oh yeah, you'll have Europe, no problem." And
Yeah,
then came the inevitable slide, and yeah, I'm worried about our squad depth without the likes of, say, with obviously Bertrand going. Just think we're a bit light in terms of quality anyway.
yeah, and teams have found us out at times as well. Like we're very easy to play against if you can get past the press. And at the start of the season and for the first few months, that press was unbelievable. Like we were running probably the most kilometers out of any team. We had the pace going forward, but we've just slowly dwindled. And you can see in the stats that have been released that the mileage that we're running isn't what it was. The pace of counter attacks, the speed in which we counter, the goals, the assists, they've all dried up, and this is the complete opposite feeling to what we had at the end of last season. Because obviously at the end of last season, post lockdown or post the break, we were unbelievable, and that's why we were all piling in on Southampton at the start of the season. This is the complete opposite feeling that our season's come to a really drab end, and as fans, we're worried about where we're going to be next season.
Yeah, agreed. I think going into this season coming, I think I'll be staying away from our players FPL wise,
Yep.
unless we make like some strong signings in sort of every position, like defense, midfield, attack. I don't
Yeah.
think I'll go near them. Even
No,
even Ings, like I don't think it's worth it anymore because of the performance of the team in general.
no, exactly. I mean, in a game like this, when Ings has potentially got a spot on the plane to fight for, genuinely, I don't think he's going to be called up. But in a game like this, you'd expect him to be gunning to put on a performance, and the players around him today, he just didn't really have the opportunity. I guess one shout out is to obviously James Ward-Prowse. He's the first player in Premier League history to play every single minute of every single game in 2 seasons consecutively.
That's a mental stat. um, Fair play to him for that's a remarkable feat of fitness, if anything.
Yeah,
Um, a lot of players have been getting injured, obviously, with the sort of games being quite condensed, and obviously for him to be playing every single one of those, that's very impressive. It's good
yeah,
for us to have.
exactly. And it's not like he's shy of putting himself in for a tackle and whatnot either. And he gets himself forward. So for him to pick up no injury that's kept him out of a game of Premier League football, I think it's unbelievable. Like even he picked up a knock with England, I think, back in the qualifiers. And because he knew that, there was the risk, he took himself out of the squad, came back, got himself fit, and then was available for the next Saints game. It just shows the commitment to the cause. And I genuinely think we need more players like Prowse who are willing to put themselves on the line for the club, because time and time again, I think we've got too many individuals there that are there for the paycheck at the moment and don't particularly care about what happens.
No, yeah, definitely. I think yeah, he obviously totally gets the club, gets the fans. Um, and yeah, it would be good to see some more additions of his ilk. Um, but yeah, I think we might even struggle to actually keep James Ward-Prowse in the next season or so. With his
Yeah,
ability from free kicks and corners is sensational.
exactly. And I mean, if we were struggling, um, God forbid, if we were to ever go down again, I mean, really hope we don't,
Oh,
obviously,
he'd be
but
off straight away.
he'd go. Yeah, there's no way he'd go back down to the Championship. Then it annoys me that we're even discussing this, but genuinely, in the form that we've been in, I think we've been the worst performing club since January. So that has to change. Otherwise, we're in deep shit next season.
Yeah, I think it's a realistic expectation for us to be in a sort of a relegation battle next season. I
Yeah.
don't think that's too dramatic to say.
No, I mean, looking at the predictions that we made at the start of the season, it's laughable, and I don't think we'll be anywhere near what we put ourselves at the start of the season.
No, I think it might be the reverse. We might be too negative next season.
I think we might, yeah. I guess that the big question for West Ham before we move on is, do they keep Jesse Lingard?
That's a very good question, because obviously the first half of his loan was exceptional. Everyone couldn't stop talking about him, and the second half has been a bit drab. He's obviously, the returns have dried up for, I think it's the last 4 or 5 games. He's not got a goal or assist, and I guess if anything, it makes it easier for them to get him.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I mean, he got the assist for Antonio in the last game, but his
Yeah,
goals have his goals have definitely dried up. Um, but I don't know whether that's down to the fact that West Ham haven't been so reliant on them either. Like obviously we've saw today, like Fornals has stepped up, got himself a couple of goals and an assist, and obviously Antonio is back fit as well. You've got the likes of Jared Bowen that are available, Ben Rama. Whereas I think when Lingard was playing, Antonio was obviously out injured for quite a period of that, and it almost felt like he had to step up and take the mantle. Whereas now West Ham have got a stronger squad now that they're all back fit again, and the pressure isn't necessarily there. But at the same time, I guess they'd be hoping for for more returns going into next season and a more consistent return if they were to keep Lingard.
Agreed.
Right, moving on to the game which involves his parent club and a massively rotated squad again from Ollie, obviously in preparation for the Europa League final on Wednesday. It was Wolves 1. Yes, they got a goal. Man United 2.
Yeah, I actually expected a little bit more from Wolves in this game based on the team selection alone. And for their strikers to still not score against a weakened Man United, and for the goal to come from a defender, be it Semedo, it's quite worrying for them, really. I don't know if they just played. Was it Fabio Silva on his own up there, or?
Yeah, and I think Toure went off injured.
Yes, he did. Yeah, in the first half, I saw Ben Dinnery. I think he punted on him this week and was like,
Oof.
"For fuck's sake, he's gone off."
Yeah, I think that probably
Yeah,
changed the way in which they set up.
yeah, attacking wise, without Jimenez are so poor. Will Jimenez be the same player when he comes back? We don't know. You hope so, but even so, I just, Wolves have completely turned me off this season in terms of their players. It's been killing me having Connor Cody for these last 6 7 weeks.
I bet it has, and obviously you've got the likes of Jimenez, Podent, Neto, all these players that we expect to be starting aren't playing. And then the big news, obviously, post our last pod was the fact that Nuno is not going to be Wolves manager next season.
Yeah, he got a great reception at the end, and throughout the game from the fans, because obviously he's done a lot there. Took them from a sort of a mid-table Championship side right up to a strong Premier League team. So he's obviously done a great job and left the team in good shape. But be interesting to see where he goes and obviously who comes in for Wolves.
Yeah, I don't think Nuno will be a Premier League manager. I think he'll potentially go back to Portugal because there's been a lot of conversation that I've read on forums and whatnot, and just in the community in general about Nuno being quite homesick and wanting to go home and whatnot. And whether that's true, I don't know, but I'd be very surprised if, say, Nuno went to Spurs. I don't think Spurs fans will be at all happy if they got Nuno in as their manager because he just doesn't play the style of football that Tottenham are expecting, for instance. And I don't really know if there's another opening in the Premier League that Nuno would want to take.
What style would you say the Tottenham fans are expecting?
I think they're expecting press. Like I think they're probably expecting the style of football that Poch, you know, brought to the club and used, the attacking impotence of, the likes of Son and Ali and Kane, Bergwijn, that they're all very good players going forward. And I think Mourinho kind of drilled that out of them this season. And obviously Ryan Mason, he's got the goals back in a sense that they played particularly well in some games, but excuse me, but and generally against weaker opposition. They've still struggled against the top teams, barring obviously today when Leicester collapsed. But I think Nuno doesn't particularly play that attacking style of football. And yeah, I can't see it being a great appointment, particularly obviously with the European Super League malarkey, and Spurs fans obviously not being happy about that, and no one really is. But I just think that'll push them over the edge if they then appoint Nuno, and then they go back to a very, I guess it feels harsh to say dull, but I'm never inspired when I watch a Wolves team. Nuno has done exceptionally well for Wolves, and to get them to where they are with the players that they had, fair bloody play. Like the past couple of seasons, they've been exceptional. But I'm never thrilled when I'm watching a Wolves game, and I think that's what Spurs fans would want. They want that thrill when they you know, go to the ground and watch their team play.
Yeah, the sort you get with Bielsa at Leeds, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
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 and obviously Wolves are looking at a Portuguese replacement. They're looking at one of the top managers in Portugal, which is not a surprise really. Obviously, they've
no.
got a lot of Portuguese players there. They've got,
It's
to be very
Mendez's influence. It's unbelievable.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they appoint and how they set up the team. But yeah, strong performance from Man United and Ollie, considering the players he used.
Yes, once again, it was a very second string squad, wasn't it? Almost a replica of what they used when they played against Leicester that night.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and obviously they'll be in good shape for the Europa League final against Villarreal. Mata, obviously his swan song is not a nice goal for him. Obviously he'll be done.
Yep.
But yeah, Van der Beek as well getting an assist. Obviously he's not played maybe as much as he would have wanted to this season.
No, no, exactly. And I guess great to see that the likes of Elanga, getting himself a goal for Man United. Like, not many people get to say that they've scored for Manchester United, so it's a fair play to them there. And I think it was a stat that Panda put, which I actually hadn't realised. But Man United have gone unbeaten away from home this season, which
What
you
for
know
the entire? Wow,
I believe so. Yeah. So
that's impressive.
that's if that is the case, and I mean that's what he posted in the group. So if it's wrong, I'm coming for you, Panda. But yeah, I mean if that's one hell of a stat to go unbeaten away from home. It just shows that they've got the drive there, particularly against the likes of Man City, Chelsea, to go to those grounds and come away with points. Not bad.
Credit to him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, finishing second in the league, you can't really do much more, can you? When the likes of Man City are finishing top.
No, agreed. So I mean that's all the games
That's it.
we've gone
That
through. It's
is
the end of the season.
that is it, James. 38 game weeks,
It's
and
exhausting, isn't it?
oh mate, tell me about it. And we've obviously spoken, and we're going to carry on doing some stuff during the summer, which I'm really looking forward to. And we may well look to tweak the way in which we pod as well, but we'll discuss more about that in the summer anyway. But yeah, it's been such a long season, but I feel knackered, and whether
Yeah,
that's to do with looking after a puppy, working from home, or the fact that this FPL season feels like it's gone for 3 years. I mean, we're playing Euro 2020 in the summer of 2021, so says it
yeah.
all.
It's been a strange season. Obviously, with the pandemic, it just feels stretched. It feels strange. We've had triple game weeks. We've had games on every day of the week. It's been chaos, but it's finally over.
Absolutely.
And I'll run through how I got on. I got
Yeah,
50,
go for it.
52 points this week. No keeper, so Meslier and Forster both didn't play. Meslier was expected to be dropped again for Casilla, but never mind with Forster. Fernandez got subbed out for Vidra on 1 point. Willock returned with 8. Salah obviously got his assist. Kane got 10 points. Cody disappointing 1 point. I thought maybe he might get a clean sheet based on that United team. But Yeah, 52 points, and I think based on live FPL, I've got like an 8k rank drop, and I'll finish on about 338k. It's obviously a bit disappointing for me after finishing 4,000th last season.
Yeah, but that was
But
one hell of a finish.
yeah. It's going to be tough to replicate that season last season, but that's going to be my aim, to either equal it or better it. But yeah, hopefully with a normal-ish season next season, I'll at the very least want to beat this season.
Yeah, now fingers crossed. Yeah, I've just seen, obviously, as we're talking, that FPL have at least added in the bonus points now. So I finished the week on 62 points after bringing in Sadio Mane, and I just regret not risking it and captaining him, because I was obviously chasing one of the mini leagues that we're both in, our Monday Night Football League, and albeit I come second, so I win a little bit of cash, but I would have won a lot more had I taken the punt. And I actually think I would have done it had I captained Mane over Salah. So that's frustrating, to say
Would
the
have been a
least.
brave move though
It
to
would have
go
been, yeah, exactly. But it looks like I've got very much a grey arrow at the moment, just looking on live FPL. I think I'm staying at 58k, which is surprising given I feel like I've had a pretty good week with 62 points. But I guess, people taking some punts around me and whatnot, it's going to stay the same. So, like you said, it's been one of those seasons that I was always looking to push on and beat my 40k PB, but I'll take another top 100 at the end of the day. It's not bad, and yeah, it just gives us a bit of drive next season to hopefully push on and do a little bit better.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Um, as for Sky, obviously it's been a long ass season in Sky. Um, Looking at it now, I've not had the best week to finish. I finished on 48 points for my main team without man of the match is being awarded, but I don't think any of my players are going to get man of the match. Harry Kane, maybe, but I haven't. It probably end up going to Bale, maybe, with his couple of goals. I wouldn't be surprised. I've not seen them yet, but I was 40th going into this week, and fingers crossed 48 is enough to keep me in the top 50, but it should easily be enough to cement me top 100. And to finish top 100 in my first season, I'm quite proud of. And to be fair, like we shouted them out on Twitter from the season keepers Twitter feed, but the likes of Planet FPL and the lads at the 3 for 1 podcast and the lads over at Scout, obviously Joe and Luke with their podcast. It's been so helpful for newbies like ourselves just to learn the game. And obviously in Parent's spreadsheet, very much I'll be taking that up again. I basically keep up my hub membership for that spreadsheet, and I fully intend to, because it's so helpful. But I think we'll probably do a review podcast, I expect, over the summer of FPL and Sky, and going over maybe some decisions that we made and whatnot. And I'm really looking forward to doing that one on Sky. And I think FF Stuff on Twitter has said that he's able to tap in. If you give him your ID, he can pull up all the data from your Sky team, so like transfers and whatnot. So it maybe if we look to give him a shout for that, then we can have a proper podcast on it.
Yeah, sounds good. I've seen what you can do.
Yes, unbelievable stuff.
Sky for me, yeah, I think I've got 50 points in my best team, despite a few missing out. Obviously, Bruno and a couple of others. Aspilicueta obviously doing us both no favours. Getting sent off at the end. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy playing Sky. I hope to finish in the top 3K. I was 2.9K at the start of the day. Hopefully, I'm still there. Next season, I want to aim higher. Top 1K, I think would be a good aim.
I think you should easily,
or even do what you've done and go right for top 100. I mean, that's remarkable to do in your first season, and a good advert for all the sort of resources that you've been using.
Exactly. And to be fair, I think obviously we're in discussions about what we want to do next season, but I think thinking about it, and we had a conversation with, I'll shout him out. We had a conversation with Disable, and for him to to reach out in the way that he did, I think is amazing because it shows that people actually care about what we talk about. Um, and I'd very much like to potentially split the focus on obviously FPL and Sky and maybe do a pod on each. And I think if we were to then podcast on Sky individually away from FPL and maybe have a bit more of a focus, I think that would maybe allow us both to focus in a bit more on our teams and the 2-for-1s and the 3-for-1s, and I think it would genuinely help, like ranks and just the way we understand the game.
Yeah, I think it would work well. Because obviously the games are quite different in terms of their dynamics. Obviously,
Yeah,
Højbjerg is a great player in Sky, but he's not a great player in FPL. The tiers bring a whole new dimension to Sky, and obviously transfers they're important in both games. But obviously Sky, you've got kind of a limited amount.
yeah.
So
I wish I had a transfer available for this final game because you got to see all the lineups. Bruno was missing, and I think the obvious move would have been either KDB or Mane, and they both returned.
yeah, if you held back, say, even just 2 or 3 transfers for this final week, you'd have been in a great position to attack those sort of fixtures. You got the lineups, so that's the valuable information. And yeah, no, it's been a great game to play, and I'll be playing it next season.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, now we'll obviously have those discussions over the summer and hopefully get back to you all on it. Should we end our final FPL podcast of the season with a bit of a laugh about our prediction?
Yes, we should. Forgot about those.
Oh yeah, God Almighty! I was looking at the league tables that we've predicted, and quite amusing to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I said West Ham would finish 17th, and they obviously finished 6th.
Yeah, I had them 17th as well.
Yeah, so oh god, I didn't think you had them as low as me, but yeah, both underestimated West Ham and Villa. I had Villa to finish 19th.
We both had Aston Villa to get relegated.
Yep, they came 11th. They were comfortable. So another poor prediction. And then with regards to teams we overestimated, Sheffield United, I said,
Yep.
We still put them lower than last season. We still
we did.
expected the progression. So we said 12. I said 12th.
I said 13th.
And yeah, obviously they finished rock bottom.
Yeah, got relegated.
Similarly, Wolves I had as 7th, and obviously they came.
Yeah, you gave Wolves an exceptional season, I tell you.
Yeah, I thought Wolves would be all right, but obviously I didn't think they play like the way they did this season.
No, I mean injuries haven't helped, but yeah, I had them in 10th. So again, overestimated Wolves.
Yeah,
and then
we got the top 4 though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I mean, the other club that I think we've both massively overestimated was Southampton. Whether there was a little bit of bias there and whatnot, but yeah, I had them down as 9th and
10th.
Yeah. I mean, we were top, so 9th was achievable at one point. But yeah, we got the top 4, so can't really complain about that. We should have really put a bet on there, and we had Spurs, Leicester, Everton in and around the 5th, 6th, and 7th spot. So I guess we knew what was probably going to go on at the top of the table, but as for the predictions lower down, horribly wrong.
Well, I guess we got 2 of the relegated teams.
We
right?
did, yeah. We both got Fulham and West Brom, yeah.
But yeah, we'll have a go next season as well. Hopefully,
it was great fun.
Bad. Sorry.
Yeah, so it was great fun doing the predictions.
Yeah.
Do you remember your predictions for Golden Boot, Golden Glove?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Go on then.
So, a Golden Boot said Tony Martial.
Yeah, it's all right. I absolutely smashed my Golden Boot choice, mate. Sergio Aguero, 2 goals to end the season. Surely that gets him Golden Boot.
Oh dear.
Golden Glove, I think I was quite close.
I can see the little comment I put here next to Martial, and it's like a whole season of Bruno feeding him. His confidence has grown, and he's ready to shine. And yeah, he's He's not delivered. And
Fucking
what's the
useless.
most horrifying thing I've noticed here is I think I put down what players I expected to score the most FBL points or to be a decent pick for
Yeah,
each position. And goalkeeper,
likewise.
guess who I put?
What for the goalkeeper?
Yeah, not the Golden
Um,
Glove, but like the best goalkeeper or
best
the most
goalkeeper.
points.
Oh wait, no, I remember this. You didn't you go Ramsdale?
Oh dear.
What a
Yeah,
shout that
Ramsdale.
was. I remember.
Um,
I'm sure you said something like, I'm expecting Sheffield United to keep some really good clean sheets, and he'll pick up the save tiers. So when they
the
keep a clean sheet,
saves, the saves.
he'll get the bonuses. He was
Yeah,
fucking useless.
no, you can catch a cold.
Yeah, it's all right. I went Hugo Lloris is my top point scorer for goalkeepers. So
Still pretty ropey, but not nowhere near as bad as
nah,
Ramsdale. Obviously midfielder, I've got Aubameyang.
yeah. Well, what a shout that was. I've got De Bruyne, and I think I was unlucky with his injuries. To be fair, with that shout.
Yeah,
Um, Defensively though, I'm pretty sure we both had Trent, and
yeah,
that's been massively outshone this season, hasn't it?
yeah. I mean, he's been okay the last like 6 or 7 games, but
Yeah.
obviously he's not been what he was last season
No,
at all.
no.
It'd be interesting to see how they price him.
Yeah,
Do you
I
think
know because
60 or
well, possibly because we were all saying he was underpriced this season, weren't we? And it
well, yeah,
actually,
people going, oh,
yeah,
I'd pay 10 million for him. People were saying,
yeah, I know, and it massively just shows if Liverpool have a flaky season in the likes of Robertson and Trent fail to return in the way that they were returning last season, then it affects the whole team. And neither of them have hit double figures for assists this season now, so that's a massive shock.
yeah, it is. Yeah, they were so consistent as well last season.
Yeah, for sure. And then yeah, I think top forward points I had Sergio Aguero, obviously after predicting that he would get the golden boot. So
And
we know
again,
how well
Marshall.
that went. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, we'll definitely do those predictions again in the summer before next season because they're always fun to look back on, aren't they? And have a bit of a laugh of how shite they were. Right. I think that should draw our final FPL podcast of the season to an end, mate. Um, it's been one hell of a whirlwind. It's been an absolute pleasure to obviously chat to you for what is it, 45 episodes at least now. I think we've gone on for.
It's a lot.
Um,
This is the 44th.
yeah, and to have the amount of people that obviously listen to us and follow us on Twitter and that we talk to week in week out, like you guys are the reason why we podcast every week. The questions that we get in and the feedback that obviously we've spoken about and that we receive, it means a hell of a lot, and that's the reason that we're actively looking to carry on into next season. And like we've said, we're going to continue podcasting, but we're going to pick some topics and stuff that we want to talk about. We're going to do some rundowns of our FPL seasons and our Sky seasons, and just generally look forward to a little bit of a break and moving on into hopefully will be a better season for both of us next year.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks to listening to both of us. As Matt just said, we both really appreciate it, and good luck into next season.
Yeah, for sure. So for one final time this season, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.